Good.
I'm Angie with Young Adult Hollywood.
Hi.
It's great to meet you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Kind of your big night.
Yeah.
When you initially wrote this book, was it ever, did you visually see it in your mind as you were writing it? Is it something that you kind of imagined what the film would look like, I guess?
Well, I always kind of write in that style. I mean, I don't write with the intention that it'll become zombie right there.
They're everywhere.
What's he doing? Where was I? I didn't intend it for it to be a movie, but I always write kind of in a visual style where when I'm doing a scene, I picture it in my mind and kind of not just the visuals, but even like the sound design and just kind of, I picture an atmosphere in my head when I'm writing it. I kind of hear the music that it might use, and so, but it's not that I ever think that they're going to be a movie. It's just that's kind of how I think of stories in cinematic terms. So I think it came out that way, just sort of naturally. But I had no clue that there was ever going to be a movie or even a book for that matter when I wrote it. It's the third book that I've written, so the first two, it's the fourth book actually. The first three didn't go anywhere, and shouldn't because they were terrible.
When you first, I'm thinking it has to be very surreal and kind of dreamlike when you see things come to life that you had on paper and in your own head. Were there things that you were like, oh, that doesn't seem right, or that doesn't?
Well, I understand movie adaptations. I don't go in there expecting every word and image to be the same. It's not. I always think of adaptations more like a cover song than a literal transcription of the book. So it's a different artist. Jonathan is, he wrote the script, he directed the movie. It's his movie, it's his aesthetic and his ideas being put in there. It's based off my book, but I don't think of it in terms of like how accurate it is. I was happy for any scene that did happen that was how I imagined it was a special thrill. But when they were different, I knew he knew what he's doing and changed things for a good reason. So.
And it looks great.
Yeah, it does. And there's definitely a lot of scenes.
Word, I don't think.
Some of it, I would say. There's some pretty gorgeous cinematography in
it's
there.
Very artistically, it's just
especially
gorgeous.
In the flashbacks when everything is not dry and dead. Right. Those are gorgeous shots, like all the memories and just beautiful. So
yeah, absolutely.
The scenes like the airport and in the airplane, that stuff was all exactly how I imagined it. So that was incredibly surreal, especially being there on the set and walking through that airport. It's just like, wow, I feel like I'm having a lucid dream right now or something.
Now I know that there was a release about a little bit about the prequel. It got everybody very excited.
Yeah.
What was the decision making to do a prequel versus do a sequel?
Well, I'm doing a sequel. Okay. That's what I'm working on now. Okay. But I'd sort of written a lot of this prequel early on, like shortly after I finished Warm Bodies, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to do it. I thought I might be able to have to squeeze it into like a short story collection or something, but I kind of expanded a little bit, and once I understood exactly where I was going to go with the sequel, I was able to tie it in more directly to that rather than being a self-contained little short story. So once I kind of figured out where I was going with the whole thing, it was there, and I wanted to do something with it, and it kind of serves as a bridge between the two, because there's a lot of stuff that happens in the sequel that is it needs to be set up, and there's new characters introduced and concepts that are introduced in this prequel. So I think of it as kind of like it's like this little interlude in between the two major works. Like the Warm Bodies it's a short book, but it's fairly epic in scope, and the sequel is even more so. So this is sort of like this little.
So it's important to have that little bit in there.
It's like a little pause in between, and it's in the past, but it ties into what's going to happen, and it just seemed necessary.
That's brilliant. It makes sense. So, well, congratulations with everything. So,
Thanks.
The movie's great. I loved it.
Cool.
So,
Looking forward to seeing it again.
Thank you.